Hello, and welcome to Derry. I'm your host of the One of My Stories podcast, and with me today is your other host from the Sweet Child of Time podcast. Some call him the Leroy to my Charlotte Hanlon, the Rich to my Will Hanlon, the Lucky Turtle to my Charm Bracelet, the pickle jar in my pantry. I just call him Steve Barnes. Ahoy, Steve!
Ahoy, Lindsay, you pickle eater. How's it going?
I like pickles. Do you like pickles, Steve?
I don't dislike them. I'm a fan of relish. Like on my hot dogs, I like relish, which is made of pickles, right?
It's made of pickles, chopped up pickles.
But I could never just grab like a pickle and just like take a big old bite out of it. That seems really not right to me. How about yourself? Can you do that?
Yes. I'm a fan of the pickles. I think that now when I was younger, I only liked the bread and butter sweet pickles. And in middle school, my best friend, she liked a dill pickle. She would go to, what's the name of that place? It was something Farms, and it's a sausage
Pepperidge
place.
Farms?
It's not Pepperidge Farms. I don't think they have this store anymore, but it used to be at the mall, and they sold sausage and cheese. And now you still see it at Christmas time. It's a pop-up. But anyway, they used to sell pickles straight from the jar. Like you could buy one dill pickle.
Sure.
And she would get that and chomp down on it at the mall.
Yeah, when I worked at Stuffy's, the sub shop that I worked at where I met my first wife, like we always had a big, giant ass pickle jar that, I mean, it was huge. I think it was like a 5-gallon jar. No, it must have been like 1 or 2 gallons. And yeah, people we would have the big old tongs, 50 cents a pickle, and these weird people would just grab them and just eat them whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood it, but
They have hardly any calories, some sodium.
Oh,
but we're not here to talk about pickles.
Yes, we are. We were talking about the pickle scene.
Pickles may come up eventually, but I think I'm ready really to talk about episode 2 of Welcome to Derry, which is called The Thing in the Dark. Now, what was your overall reaction to this episode? You were lukewarm on episode 1. Was this more of a sizzler for you?
Absolutely it was. Yeah, this really picked up steam a lot. Like I've come around really quickly now on this episode too. Like episode 1, I didn't dislike it. Like as I told you, it just didn't like grab me. This one definitely grabbed me. Like I feel like they got the vibe right. I feel like the pacing was really good. And I don't know, there's something about like this unrealistic setting that's makes it realistic enough to be like a real fun ride. Like I'm 100% on board now. I'm absolutely loving it. Did you gave it a pretty high rating last time around? Did it maintain that high rating for you, or did it excel, or did it decrease slightly?
I think it went up for me. I've heard a few reactions so far, including one Reed Lackey, who we were just discussing Fear of God podcast, that I was chatting with him yesterday. Well, it was a group event. He was saying the pacing was a little slow, but I thought for an episode 2 that this was pretty good. Like it did some important things. It kind of brought some people together that hadn't talked to. I mean, we only have 8 episodes, so they have to begin putting those mechanics together to have these different characters meet and converge so there can be an epic, storyline maybe at the end. So we had some meet and greets this week, some meet cutes. And I felt like the scares we got, which kind of went, we had 2 big scary scenes last episode. We had 2 big scary scenes, and these scenes to me were actually a little bit more horrific than either one of those personally for me. And we're going to talk about those scenes, but just like the way those were constructed, I felt like the horror was ramped up for this episode more so than last week.
Those horror scenes you're talking about were like very original as well. Like we haven't seen those type of things like done over and over again in horror movies. So it was really nice to see like, kind of like an original couple of scares going on here. The feedback I got has all been positive as well. In fact, you'll like this feedback. I think you will. Yesterday, I was rewatching this episode and I was watching the opening sequence. And so I rewound it a couple times. So, that song about the ribbon in my hair was playing in the living room. I have a 19-year-old daughter, Charlotte. She comes downstairs and she's like, what are you listening to? Because she's kind of drawn by the music, because I usually listen to like much different music than that, of course. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm watching Welcome to Derry. And she was like, oh, the Pennywise thing. I want to watch it. So Charlotte pulled up a blanket and we had to start back over on episode 1. But yeah, we watched episode 1 and episode 2. I wasn't expecting to watch it with her. She definitely had a great perception of it. She had these theories that made no sense at all. But I was kind of like, helping her out a little bit with some facts. But she was trying to tell me that Maddie is actually Pennywise, and that I was like, no, you're barking up the wrong tree, Charlotte.
That's so fun, though, that she was coming in with a fresh pair of eyes.
And yeah, me and Heather are watching Broadchurch right now. I said this last week. And on whatever night it came out on Halloween night or Halloween day, or that evening, we either were going to watch Welcome to Derry episode 2, or we were going to watch the last episode of Broadchurch, the finale. Okay. Heather wanted to watch Welcome to Derry. She was more excited to watch this show than to watch the finale of Broadchurch. I think that says a lot about like my family's enthusiasm for this show.
Wow, it's bringing the whole family together. Yep. Next is Caleb. I think, is that your son's name? Caleb.
That is Caleb. That is his name. But yeah, he just has a lukewarm interest in it. He's not on board with us. Caleb, come join the family. Caleb, come back home.
Wayward son. Carry on, my wayward son. So I have some listener feedback from the last episode, but it's me. I'm the listener. I have feedback for ourselves, Steve.
Okay, I'll take it.
But this is more of something I wanted us to discuss last week, and I forgot to bring it up.
Okay.
But in addition to the horror scenes being well done, I guess I also just want to give props to Barbara and Andy Muschietti, or Muschietti. I've heard people saying their names differently now, huh? So I
say spaghetti.
Practice. But we've talked about how Derry reflects real world fears.
Sure.
And somebody was mentioning in an interview yesterday that they wanted to make it not like a Freddy Krueger, witches in dreams are all rooted in magic. Mm-hmm. And in this show, so far, and I think this is true also of the movies. Like if we remember the original Losers Club and the visions they would have and how Pennywise or it would reveal himself to them, it wasn't always something directly that we know of tied to their real life. Georgie just sees the boat go in the drain gutter. It's kind of random. Or you have Mike Hanlon seeing the bird. Now that's related to his father's trauma. So that maybe was kind of an example.
Richie and Paul Bunyan is pretty random, right?
Right. He's not going around talking about Paul Bunyan all the time. Right. So it's not connected to anything he's already fearing, right? But we've also talked about the fact that Derry is a place that's not right. And we have people that are sort of turning their eyes away or not really standing up for people, standing up.
Intentionally ignoring, yeah.
Yeah, the way that, Charlotte Hanlon came in, she's a fresh pair of eyes. She tries to intervene, and it's a bad reaction. But this thing about people kind of turning a blind eye or allowing bad things to happen without standing up, I feel like is a real reality in our world. And I wanted to bring up 2 examples of this. And one is this is something that happened in 2016. Okay, Charlie Kinsey in Miami. He was a therapist, and you might have heard of this incident, Steve, but it's a few years ago. He had an autistic patient named Arnaldo Soto who escaped from a group home. Police responded to a call that there might be a suicidal man outside. The therapist followed his patient, and the man was holding a toy truck. And the therapist was trying to calm his patient and also stop the police from thinking there was anything they needed to intervene. So he was yelling, "It's a truck, it's a toy truck, it's not a gun." He lays on the ground with his hands up in the air and kept shouting this. The therapist was shot in the leg. the officer that shot him claimed to be trying to shoot at the autistic patient who he thought was a threat to Kinsey. But when the shooter was asked why he did it, he said, "I don't know." That was his excuse, that, he just was like, "Why did you shoot this man? I don't know." And then later he was asked by somebody else, "I don't know." So it's almost like, it's not quite a bystander thing, but I mean, just bad things happen. And then it's almost like this guy was in some kind of a daze and he woke up, and then people are like, "Why did you just shoot that guy?" Like, there was no threat at all.
Sure.
The man was lying on the ground with his hands up. The officer claimed to be trying to protect him, but he misses that bad, and he shoots this man who's lying on the ground in the leg. I mean, and one more thing about it, that Kinsey was left bleeding on the ground without medical attention for 20 minutes after that.
Yeah, it sounds like Pennywise, or it itself, had a hand in that, because that's exactly the type of thing. I mean, I'm not making light of this. This is something that really happened.
Yeah.
But you're using this as an example in response to what we're watching here. That's absolutely what the town Derry would do, not just during the 27-year cycle, but at any given time. Because even when it/Pennywise is sleeping, the town still feeds on low-level fear and low-level psychosis. That's exactly what Pennywise would draw someone to do. Like, he sees somebody there with a gun, and maybe the person has hesitation, and Pennywise is like, "Yeah, I want you to go ahead and do that." There's like an evil part of this person's brain, perhaps, or Pennywise whispering to him that, I need this fear. I need this thing, because there's bystander effect happens in Derry, and it happens. Yeah, like you're saying, it happens in our world for sure. Stephen King likes to, fictionalize that in a more fun way, a more palatable way. But yeah, you're right. It's happening.
Maybe he didn't, I was thinking it could be interpreted to say that I don't think, that the Muschietis are somehow, Stephen King didn't do this, they are. But it could be that, back when Stephen King was writing this, people wouldn't have been as receptive to it. Now, I feel like people are now more primed to think about these kinds of things and say, wow, look at all these bad things that are happening in the world. And, we don't necessarily have a Pennywise that can blame, but it feels very real that people, especially when you think about an issue like racism, that people in the street are just standing there while someone's, and those kids were all white, but they were getting beat up. But we know that in other cases, the treatment is about race, that people, or it's more allowed, because there was this other story, Vincent Chin, where it's a Chinese man who was just out in the town. These two men that were bitter that they had been laid off from the car plant because of Japanese cars doing better, and some American companies got laid off, and they saw this man who was Asian, even though he was Chinese and not Japanese, and blamed him for it, beat him with a baseball bat until his brains came out, and the men didn't get any time in jail. They were given probation. And the judge said, these aren't the kinds of men you send to jail. It's
oh, yeah, that's total Derry stuff right there, too. And yeah, Stephen King explored that theme a lot in this book, It. And I think that he was inspired by what he was seeing around him. I mean, he made a lot of these comparisons in that book, and about how the town would turn a blind eye. It was explored greatly. And you reminded me, too, we were talking about how sometimes in some of his earlier books, Black characters are treated a certain way. And I think one of the reasons that people forgive that is because he writes those characters so beautifully and with such depth and with such traumatic detail involved in their life. Instead of just being some magical aura figure, they always have a tragic backstory, and they always have, some spice to them.
Well, yeah, we could probably choose a better word, but I think, yes. I guess my point is that I feel like they're really pulling out some great examples. The examples that they're doing feel really real, with the kids feeling their fears are connected to their past, whether it's the skin lamps or the pickle jars. These kids are feeling levels of guilt or anxiety about what they're seeing in the world, and that's where Pennywise is attacking
Yeah, the
them.
kids feel it. The adults don't necessarily feel it unless something extreme happens. Like there's a bunch of kids killed in a movie theater, or there's like a missing kid, or there's like a body laid out in front of you. Then these adults who are usually complacent, they have to confront it, but they almost always confront it and they want to find a scapegoat very quickly so they can just move on with their lives. That's kind of like the MO of the adults of Derry.
Yeah, I think you said it all right there. So I'm now going to briefly recap the episode. And I think I did a pretty good job here recapping this without really going into a lot of details, so we can save that for character arcs. In the aftermath of the bloodbath at the movie theater, the town grows restless, wanting a culprit to blame. Encouraged by the townspeople, Police Chief Clint Bowers harasses Lily until she gives them enough evidence to charge Hank Grogan, Ronnie's father. The key line here, this is America. No, this is Derry. Lily, for her part, is scared to go back to Juniper Hill, so she plays into the scheme to blame Hank, which infuriates Ronnie. After Lily has a very public waking vision of it, she gets sent to Juniper Hill anyway. Meanwhile, the Hanlon family are finally reunited, wife Charlotte and son Will. Will is immediately bullied because reasons. The teachers seem against him too. He ends up in detention with Ronnie and shares his love of science with her. He also meets a band geek named Rich who seems unbothered by what other kids think of Will. Charlotte explores the town and has both pleasant and unpleasant experiences. Initially, we are told that the attack on Major Hanlon was done by Airman Masters as a racist act, but Major Hanlon follows the clues to figure out that's a lie. We find out the attack on Major Hanlon was a test. They wanted to see if he would experience fear, and with his fearlessness proven, they share with him what's going on in special projects and ask him to help. We end the show with a discovery of what they are looking for. Ta-da!
You did go into detail. Yeah, you've into a lot of detail there.
It's not the fun details. It's just to plant us. But yeah, do you want to respond?
I'll only respond to say that I'm going to get meta here because I was prepared with a recap as well, just in case you didn't have one. Mine is very different from yours. Let's check this out. Survivors Lily and Ronnie continue to be terrorized by it. The Hanlon family moved to Derry, and the town's atmosphere continues to grow tense. The military is uncovering a secret from Derry's past. That's all I got.
That's pretty short.
It's very short because you said short recap, so I went really short. And next time I'll know to put more detail in there.
Well, we can find something in the middle. I think we're still working on what a recap looks for us.
Well, I know what an Easter egg looks like. Is that going to be like our next section?
Yeah, our next section is going to be our Easter egg hunt. But instead of doing two things and two things, I think we'll just stick with one. Because I don't feel like there are as many this time.
You don't? I have like 15. Okay.
Okay, well, great. Well, is the song, the title credit song, is that part of your Easter eggs?
No, that's just a song to me.
Okay. Well,
how do you consider it an Easter egg?
Did you say what do I? Well, I mean, we saw there are things in the title credits that are kind of Easter eggs because they're like, oh, there's that place and there's that place.
Even of course. I got all those. I thought you meant the song itself. I was like, no, I don't consider the song an Easter egg, but absolutely during these opening credits, I got a bunch.
Okay. Well, I wondered if we would, let's talk through the song, the title credit song, and all the scenes in there, and then we can do the rest of our Easter eggs.
Okay, you first.
Okay?
You first.
Okay, the first one I have for the title credits is the drain gutter. We see a girl looking through the drain gutter, kind of like Georgie did the day of the boat incident.
Yep. The next one I see is also compared to a drain. You have the octopus coming out of the drain, which is like a little Easter egg for what's coming up this episode.
Yes. Now, before that one, I had two boys in their skivvies near the kissing bridge jumping into the water. And that reminded me of the It movies where the kids are in their underwear jumping into the water.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, because I was in charge of reading the book for the recap. You were in charge of watching the movies. I did not watch the movies, so I assumed that you would have some Easter eggs that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a direct one because the kids didn't look anything like our Losers Club, but I was like,
Right.
oh, well, it makes sense that the kids, other people have swam there before.
And I might be skipping something here, but the next one I have written down is the house at 29 Neobalt Street. We absolutely are seeing that sucker, I believe, right after the Juniper Hill. I think the Juniper Hill scene merges into the 29 Neobalt Street.
Yeah, Juniper Hill was in there, but yeah, those two places. And did you notice that as you panned out from the Neibold house, there was blasts or something coming out of the so
like nuclear blasts.
Yeah.
Oh, and back at Juniper Hill, it looked like that little boy was at the dentist getting his tooth pulled. But then, like, during a rewatch, I'm like, nope, he is getting like his brain scooped out through his nose at Juniper Hill. He's getting one of those kind of operations.
Somebody said they thought he was getting a lobotomy.
Yes, that's when they put a thing up your nose and like pull out pieces of your brain. It's exactly right.
Right. Well, why do people do that? Do you know anything about lobotomies? I haven't researched.
They did it because, especially like a mental institution, because in the 60s, they didn't really have a lot of science, but they had a lot of pseudoscience and a lot of theories. And a lot of the theories were like, oh, this part of your brain is what's making that happen. So if we remove that part of the brain, then you won't have that problem anymore. But unfortunately, they weren't very precise with these procedures, and a lot of people became test subjects.
Okay. Well, the next one I saw was, I believe, the Bradley Gang.
Yep, I saw those dudes, and I saw Pennywise taking aim at them too.
Is he? Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's part of the gang, but they might have wanted him to be a member. He had a good spot up there in the window.
He's not part of the gang, but like the whole story about the Bradley Gang is like the whole town of Derry annihilated the Bradley Gang. And of course, Pennywise is part of the town. So he has like an active role in that.
Mm-hmm.
And during that same scene, I think the Bradley Gang and they were going through the town. We see Keen's Pharmacy as well, like in the opening credits.
Yes. And then the only other one I saw after that was the Easter egg hunt. And like a priest, a priest running from the Easter egg hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Who was he was blessing the events before they take place.
Well, it's Easter, you got to invite the priest. I mean, come on.
All right. Did you have any more from the credits?
From the credits, no, but I do have a list that continues throughout the show.
Right.
Are we going into that too?
Well, we can, but before we do that, I thought it was interesting that I don't really feel like we saw the black spot.
Nope, we did not.
And I wondered if I had missed it or had not seen something correctly, because it seemed like they had every other important place except for that. Maybe because,
I was looking for that, and I was looking for the Silver Dollar Cafe as well, because that's also been name dropped. But I didn't see any sign of either one of those whatsoever. So I guess that's going to be maybe it'll be one of those things like, they'll add on to the credits as the show progresses. Maybe season 2 will have a slightly different credit sequence with different scenes that it morphs in and out of.
Okay. All right, go on to your next Easter egg outside of the song then.
It's related to the Keen's Pharmacy. When Charlotte's walking through town, she passes a fellow in white smoking a cigarette outside the pharmacy. That's our man Norman Keen right there. So that was one of my Easter eggs.
Do we know that, or are we just like, he looks like that guy? Because I had that one too.
We know that. We're pretty darn sure of that. We don't know it for sure, but according to me and everybody else on Reddit, that's him.
He does look a lot like the man from the movie, which you didn't watch for this preparation.
I watched it in the theaters when it came out, but that was years ago.
All right, my next Easter egg is going to be Stan Kirsch, the butcher at the meat place. At the meat place.
Tell us why he's an Easter egg.
Yeah, this is an Easter egg because the last name Kirsch we see in the It novel when Beverly goes back to her home. she meets Mrs. Kirsch, who ends up being a Pennywise embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stan seemed like a pretty nice guy here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I thought so.
He said the kids call him Stan the Cleaver, but that was sort of nightmare fuel going on there. Some Barber of Seville type energy.
He is your average Derry adult, though, because he didn't want to get involved with the kids getting beat up outside. Even though that one kid was getting the crap beat out of him, he was just going to ignore it. So he is one of those normo Derry adults. So we got to watch out for him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What's your next one?
The kid getting beat up, possibly not an Easter egg. I didn't see anybody else talking about this on any platform. He looked an awful lot like Richie Tozier, didn't he? The kid getting beat up.
Are you saying that just because he had those glasses?
And he had that face.
He had that face.
That Richie Tozier face.
I feel like there's glasses prejudice going on because I heard another person said that they thought Marge was related to Richie because of the glasses.
Not because of the glasses, because of the voices that she does, the imitations.
And
Richie's mom's name is Marge in the book.
Is she now?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I mean, I'm kind of leaning on that theory too. But the next Easter egg is yours, though.
Secondhand Rose.
The
thrift store where we meet Rose. I don't know if we ever hear her named, but her name is Rose. Yeah. And this is the thrift store, and seems to be the same thrift store where Silver was there being sold in the It novel.
Yep. They call it Secondhand Rose, Secondhand Clothes is what they call it in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Here they just call it thrift store or something. But they introduce her as Rose. And when she speaks, when you watch the subtitles, it says Rose there under her name.
Now, did you know that's a real song, Steve?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay,
good. Bette Midler, is that right? Or is it Barbara Streisand? One of the two of them.
I'm glad you're keeping up on your musical theater favorites.
So I guess it must have been Bette Midler then, if it's musical theater.
I just saw it performed at a middle school talent show, so I don't know who actually is
That's the best
original
place to see
singer
it.
of that. Yeah.
My next one is the police chief, Clint Bowers. This has got to be Henry Bowers' granddaddy.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting to find out he was a Bowers, because I remember in the It movies, Henry's dad is a policeman. He's a policeman in that movie.
Makes sense.
So it's the generations are following in the footsteps. But he didn't seem, in the It lore, there's real hatred between the Bowers and the Hanlon families. Mm-hmm. And I feel like at this point, that doesn't seem to exactly be the case. We don't see them interact yet. So it's possible that the hatred will be burst coming up.
Yeah.
Because we know that Henry's dad really hates Will Hanlon. So where did that hatred come from? It seems like more, I know that in the real story, it involves work. It involves the same kind of thing as Vincent Chin, like the job, he gets laid off or something because of Mr. Hanlon.
Yeah, he blames Hanlon for it. Yep.
Right. But in this case now, I'm kind of like, where did that targeted hatred start? Because it seems more than just average racism. It's specific to Mr. Hanlon. Yeah.
It's got to start here, because this is when Hanlon first moves to town. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We're going to see that develop as it comes. The next Easter egg is yours, because I said Clint Bowers, right?
The next one I saw is very kind of a small one, but it's still kind of fun, which is the Calumet baking powder.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Yeah.
In the grocery store, that this is a product that is also used at the hotel in The Shining, the Overlook Hotel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's also real baking soda as well.
Yeah, it's a real live baking soda brand. You're right. Do you have any more, Steve?
I got just a couple more, rounding them out here. This is a really interesting one that I'm clueless about. When they go into the super secret area, whatever they call it, and Leroy's looking around, the scientist's holding up like some baseball jerseys. And it's like he's trying to get like some DNA samples off those baseball jerseys. I could not make any connection whatsoever to that. So I think that we're going to be seeing something happening with a sports team in like an upcoming episode. It must be just like some foreshadowing.
So you're like, you're prophesying it will be an Easter egg.
Well, I mean, it's got to be something because they took the time to show it to the audience. Unless in the movies, was there any kind of sports teams or sports jerseys prevalent?
I don't remember anything. I'd have to look it up. But the only thing I can think of is maybe one of the kids is it possible that one of the kids from the book that got killed or was one of the kids that went missing, that they were leaving from a baseball game and,
Quite possibly. I don't remember that, but
yeah,
we shall see.
I mean, the Hanlons talk about baseball, that Mr. Hanlon or Major Hanlon.
Yeah, but we haven't seen any uniforms, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he likes baseball.
That's right. He did come up. He'd give a kidney for a mitt, is what he said, which is an insane thing to say. But the Jade Orient, that's another Easter egg that I saw when Charlotte was walking through town. And the Jade Orient is where the adult losers club met up and they had like their fortune cookie snafu. And Captain Russo, who is Leroy's buddy, will be very happy to know that there is an Asian restaurant in town that he can go eat at.
That's so true. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either until yesterday.
Maybe Charlotte's there. He's going to have dinner and Charlotte's going to tell him about the restaurant she saw and he'll be so happy.
Yep. What else did we see? Curfew. They noted the curfew sign was out because of course, like kids are missing and kids have gotten killed in a theater. So there's now a curfew in place. I think everybody has to be home by 6 or 7. And then the last one I had was at the very end of the episode, that car they pull out of the mud is the Bradley gang car. Some people were theorizing that might be like the family we saw at the beginning of episode 1, which if that's not the case, this is absolutely the Bradley gang. They're pulling out of that swamp there. So that's a big old Easter egg.
I thought it was the roadster from the Titanic. But
oh, well, I mean, let's see. What year was it? It could be. You're right. There's about 40 years between the Titanic and this episode.
That's the same roadster that Rose and Jack.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, I enjoyed our Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, me too. I win. I got more Easter eggs, so I win this time.
I had the roadster, but I didn't. I was like, I wasn't sure if that was an Easter egg or not.
Well, now you claim it after I said it. Okay.
I'll claim one more then that isn't really mine, but somebody else told me that there's Mike loves Christine on the board, so it's a Christine Easter egg.
Oh, like from the car thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't catch that one.
Just like we had the something or other Marsh.
Alvin Marsh.
Alvin Marsh, right.
That's right.
Mike loves Christine. Does he love his car? Who knows?
I think that's got to be what it is, and the years check out.
Yeah, the when they were in detention, there was a lot of fun things on the chalkboard behind.
I saw boobs. I saw some boobs.
I saw some other body parts. Yeah. So let's move on from that.
Sweet Shot of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Shot of Time. We hook up with our guests via video and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits. It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com.
We're going to go into some character arcs, Steve. Now,
I'm down.
We're going to have a new section towards the end where we can each reveal what our favorite character is, so don't reveal that during this part.
Mum's the word. Okay.
Mum's the word. All right, but I organized these from least kind of screen time towards most, although that could be debatable in some cases. So the first one I wanted to call attention to is an unnamed character that is played by Joshua Ojik. He's just an indigenous man with binoculars.
Yep. We do know the name of his tribe, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Wabanaki. Is that how you would pronounce the Wabanaki tribe? That's how it looks anyway.
That is how it's pronounced. But
okay.
It is fair to say that the Wabanaki is actually made up of several tribes. So this is a collective name for the region out in Maine. So it's not, he's maybe not part of this tribe. That's like the region of indigenous people are. There's like, I think there's 4 tribes that are under that collective name.
I thought I was all smart because I knew that. And I guess not. I'm just basic over here. But I do know that he was overlooking the site that they're excavating, and it looks like he's not too thrilled about what they're doing. Maybe they're like tampering with some tribal grounds, or there's something spiritual happening here. And he's got that fantastic hair. I mean, that Revlon look going on. I mean, he had the best hair of the episode.
And he had 2 friends with him that I think were on motorcycles. So these guys are looking out for what's going on. They got their eye open. And it's kind of reminding me a little bit. I think that this character is going to be more important as we go on. We're going to know what his name is. But I thought it was interesting how, one of the big movies this year is Sinners, and that has a very short scene where the Choctaw tribal people come and they try to kind of warn the white people about these vampires and aren't listened to. So I'm guessing that we did see the man who was in charge of the dig site. Yeah. He kind of noticed those guys were watching him and he looked pretty unhappy. So I'm guessing they've already told him they're not very happy with what he's doing and he's ignoring any advice they're trying to give him.
You must have got my notes because I was going to say exactly that. So.
Oh, dang.
I think we're good with Joshua Ojic then.
Okay, well, I'll let you go first for the next one then.
Okay, cool.
That's going to be Rose.
Yeah, perhaps they know each other because Rose is the one who runs the thrift shop here. And she apparently is Native American. I only know this because I read like the Wikipedia of the show. And it says that she's a Native American with knowledge of Derry's dark history. So she's on the lookout, so to speak, for evil stuff happening around Derry. She's like a Mike Hanlon kind of character who would keep up with the dark stuff of Derry.
Yeah, I think one thing I noticed about her is she is very observant. She remembers things. She remembered Charlotte's son's name was Will. She remembered the telescope. And when Charlotte comes into her store, she really seems to take notice. She kind of, there was a man there naming, I don't know if they were doing an inventory report of what's in the store.
Good.
But she kind of looks up when Charlotte comes in and makes time to let her browse extra, or she doesn't have to leave during lunch. She kind of gives her special treatment.
That's right. Yeah, she keeps the store open instead of closing it up. Yeah, that guy that she is with that is like saying things in the letter B and then he says things in the letter C. I figured you would point this out because you watch the movies. If you watch the movie this thrift store is run. Stephen King plays the proprietor of this thrift store in the movies, apparently. This guy is that character. So this guy is a young Stephen King who's going to later take over the store.
Oh, you know what? That never even dawned on me, but that's cool. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really neat.
I like that. We do see Rose in the trailer for the show trailer, I don't think for this next episode. But I also did hear that the official podcast, the official Welcome to Derry podcast, which is admittedly pretty cool. We're awesome too, but we'll go ahead and say that they're a good podcast too.
Why not?
That she's going to be the main person they're interviewing next week. So I'm guessing she's going to be more important next week.
Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing about Kimberly Guerrero, that's who plays Rose. I don't know how this will plan out, but I did see a very cool article where she is the subject of the interview, and she was talking about how the Stephen King universe is a family, but so far Indigenous people haven't had a seat at the table. And she said that's about to change, that there was the first Losers Club was maybe all Indigenous kids. So I'm just excited to see how this will pan out.
Yeah, heck yeah. Because, like, you're absolutely right. I think they make mention that the Muschiettes, Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti, are the ones that are credited. Because in the movie It, which you've seen recently, I don't remember this, but apparently from what I read, like, you know, Indigenous cultures came into play in the movie as well. So I think we can thank the Muschiettes for that.
Yeah, with the artifact.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to Rich. Rich Santos is his last name, and he's played by Arian S. Cartaya. And we know he's a Cuban. He's an immigrant from Cuba. That's not spelled out in the episode, but it's in the show literature. What else do we know? He loves Marge. Her glasses send him over the moon. And if Black residents are treated poorly, we can imagine how someone from Cuba might be viewed with this nuclear crisis. And he likes Will's pencil. That's the last thing I'll say about him. Turn it over to you.
Admirer of pencils. I don't know what the hell that was about. I looked it up. I was like, what are you talking about, kid? I don't even know what that line was about. But yeah, the fact that he's Cuban and this is happening right at the cusp of the Cuban Missile Crisis is like great fodder for him to be bullied in Derry just for being Cuban. Because at first it didn't even dawn on me that him being Cuban would make any sort of difference at all until I remembered that, you know, when it came to like the Cold War, Cuba was on the opposing side. So I'm sure the kids on Derry will probably have a field day with that, with this kid, Rich. And he's not eating a Hot Pocket in this scene. He's eating there's a specific word for it. Can you help me with this?
Is it an empanada?
No. I guess we'll never know.
Okay.
But yeah, like I love the way his mouth is full and this music is playing and that crazy yellow flash that Marge gives him. We'll talk about Marge in a couple of minutes here. But people are theorizing that this kid Rich is going to be Richie Tozier's father, based on the fact that most people are thinking that Marge is Richie's mom. They're like, this guy Rich must be Richie's dad, but he's got a different last name. I don't know how that could even be conceivable.
Oh, unless it's one of those things where they choose not to keep his name because of the heritage.
It's possible. I'm just kind of calling this like, I don't think this is going to be Richie's dad. I, in fact, am putting my money on that we might lose this kid in the next couple episodes based on nothing other than a hunch. But I don't think he's Richie's dad.
Oh my gosh, I think that too, Steve, because he actually, in the IMDb, he didn't have a last name. And I thought maybe that means that's not a good sign that he didn't have a last name. But also Marge doesn't have a last name. And even in the detailed character names articles I've seen, Marge doesn't have a last name. And I think Marge is going to be, I think she might have plot armor. I'm not sure. But
I think they don't give us their last names on purpose so that we will have these types of conversations.
Do you have anything else about Rich before we move on to Charlotte?
Not really. He's smooth.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and you can start with Charlotte then.
Okay, yeah. Charlotte Hanlon comes to town. She's Leroy's wife. She's 2 hours late. She's played by Taylor Page. Of course, she's Leroy's wife. She's Will's mom, but she is like the bridge that helps divide these two men because Will and Leroy don't have a whole lot in common other than the fact that they're both Hanlons. They just have completely different interests. Charlotte recognizes this and is, you know, a good mom. She wants her son and her husband to, you know, bond. She also, her character, not her actress, but the character Charlotte apparently was a protester protesting for civil rights because they mentioned Shreveport And of course, in 1960 in Shreveport, where the lunch counter sit-ins, and that's what they're kind of talking about really vaguely during their argument. Leroy's kind of like giving her a little bit of grief about that, but she obviously is someone who will go out, and she would have gone to the No Kings rally here recently. I think she would have done that. She's definitely the type to go out and protest, and she's the type to go out and break up a fight if she sees one. This is the type of person Charlotte is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think her and Leroy make a good couple because, he's kind of like, oh, it's better to blend in. And she's kind of like, she isn't content to let things be. And, they're different, but they seem to be a good match. Like, I thought it was really cute when they were talking in unison, and they were, or at least they had a united front in front of their son. And then as soon as Will left, then she'd let him know what was going on. But I think it's interesting but also they mentioned that she was late because she kept it below the speed limit. So she is an activist, but she's not going out of her way to make a russ or be like, I'm here and deal with it. So she also, there's that little fact about her character that she tries to go by the rules. And something I'm afraid of, I guess I'm wondering if through her coming to Derry, are we going to see her activism like slowly melt away because of the infection of Derry coming to,
I hope not,
kind of cover her up like a blanket? And it's like just a thought I have is that if Derry's that sick, then maybe it causes people to become less active.
Usually it's like the creative kids that are the ones that, break the mold of Derry. And there's a few key adults that also kind of break that mold too. I'd say that Hank, the guy who runs the projector booth, he's one of those adults that kind of breaks the mold of Derry, where he's a little more kind than your average Derry citizen. And I think Charlotte will strongly fall in that category as well. I think that regardless of the amount of time that she spends in Derry, there's certain people that Maturin the turtle kind of favors and gives them a special shine in their life. And we know Lily is one of those people. Perhaps Charlotte's one of those people. I don't know. We know that the Hanlons have to uphold in order to produce this person named Mike Hanlon that's going to be so important to our story.
Yeah.
So, this family, in my eyes, is kind of blessed by the turtle.
Yeah. I think another thing her character does is through her eyes, we see what it's like to continually wonder if someone's being racist. Because, we're primed, I think, because of what we know about Derry, to know that there's going to be racism in the show. We know that there's a fire at the Black Spot that's caused by this white legion of something or other. I can't remember. Yeah. And so as she's walking around in town, we are wondering which of these people are racist. And I think it's interesting because people talk about these microaggressions that happen. People of color talk about microaggressions. Like, for instance, when you go into an elevator, and a woman might hold her purse tighter.
Sure.
And they might wonder in their mind, like, is she doing that because I'm Black? Or when I go into the store, are those people watching me because I'm Black? Like, they think I'm going to steal something. And so, like, when we're with her and she's meeting Mr. Cleaver, Stan Kirsch, she's having this conversation, and we're wondering along with her, is this person, because he's like, you don't look like you're around from here, or
right.
So it's like, okay, are you being racist? And I feel like she has a unique window that lets us kind of experience what that's like.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm done with Charlotte then, if you are.
Yeah, let's head on down to her little boy, Will.
Will, played by Blake Cameron James. He's a science nerd. He likes science. I was thinking of that, the Homestar Runner thing where the guy goes, science! I said science again. His dad pretends to get the telescope, but it's actually mom's idea. And he's not into sports. He's not embarrassed that people think he's a nerd.
Yeah.
And I like how he turned us having, him stinking from the stink bomb into a magical idea.
Yeah, that was a little bit corny, I thought. But yeah, it reminded me of like Neil deGrasse Tyson right there, because he's the first person that I ever heard like utter the phrase like we're made of stardust. And that's immediately what I thought of when Will said that. But yeah, quick to make friends with Ronnie and Rich, which is great. I mean, your first day of school, if you're talking to a couple people and getting along, that's a win in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I liked how, he got pushed by these bullies. I feel like a lot of times in movies, when you see kids get bullied, it feels like to them it's the worst thing in the world. And I like how Will is kind of like, he doesn't seem that surprised, and he's not like moping or crying about it. Like, I'm not saying it's not hard, but it kind of reminds me of this year, a new Karate Kid movie came out, and the kid was, the original Karate Kid, Daniel's getting beat up by the Cobra Kai, and he's wants to go home, and he cries about it and feels sorry for himself. And the character in that movie, that wasn't really what he was worried about. He was more worried about guilt about his brother. So I liked how they did that with this character. He was just like, I'm gonna be picked on, whatever. I'm gonna sit in this room and in this locker and eat my lunch on the floor. And then, he did, when Ronnie kind of said like, why are you reading those books? He did kind of go, no, I'm not doing it because I want to. She kind of calls him out and says, you're lying. And he's like, all right, science is interesting. So he, he's not embarrassed to be himself.
Yeah, he knows himself. And I think it's an admirable trait. Not a good target for bullies. Somebody who's self-assured like that, bullies tend not to pick on as much.
That's true. Did you enjoy when he came in and the teacher asked him if he understood about time, and he asked her about relativity? Was that good for you, time traveler?
Of course, yeah. And the teacher kind of like even gave him like a second glance too, like, oh, wait a second, this kid knows more than I do.
All right. Well, Steve, I'm going to let you lead off about Marge, because I know how much you love Marge.
Do you? You must read my mind. Yep. We got Marge here. No last name yet. Played by Matilda Lawler. She's strongly associated with Lily. I get the feeling that they were like tight friends in like elementary school and stuff. So she has this Lily association with her, but Marge is trying to hang with the cool kids, the patty cakes. So it seems like she's always kind of doing damage control with Lily. She wants to, if the patty cakes see Lily as this crazy person and Marge is Lily's friend, then Marge by default is also crazy. So she wants to kind of pull Lily into the fold, not really altruistically, but she's trying her best to, I guess, climb the social ladder, so to speak. I had one more thing I wanted to note about her. I don't know. What do you got about this Marge chick? What are you thinking about her so far?
Marge. Oh man, I am struggling to find anything I like about Marge. She starts off, she's all happy to be there at school and gonna make a good impression on those patty cakes. And she was going to be happy for her friend about who she had a crush on, until the other two started laughing. And then she kind of turned on a dime. She sort of just goes whatever way the wind blows, whatever way might get her to be liked or noticed. She's so desperate to matter. And so she ends up turning to cruelty. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Marge triggers me, because I just remember there was an incident when there was one season of my life when I thought I was getting in good with this one popular girl, and I was mean to my friend. And
Ooh, I've done it too.
And it was, I'm so embarrassed for that was something that happened to me. So seeing Marge do this and then start to mock these kids. And she really genuinely thinks, though, you can tell from her eyes that she genuinely feels like she's going to be helping Lily. But they just have different priorities. And something she said was that, I know you want everything to go back to normal. And really, it's Marge that wants everything to go back to normal. She wants to have her patty cakes and she wants to have Lily's friendship. Because when they were even in the cafeteria scene, she's kind of distracted, even though she's with her patty cakes. She keeps looking at what Lily's doing. Now, she might have been worried that she's talking to Ronnie, but it almost felt like she was wishing she could go sit over there too and not be in with these people that are that one girl pointed out, you're wearing the same sweater as yesterday. Big deal. I wear the same cardigan every day. Unnamed bully girl, whatever your name is. So I just thought that it was hard for me to see that for Marge. It's one of those things you just want to cringe at a little bit because she took it too far. She just took it too far with what her behavior was. And there was one more thing I was going to say, and now I'm drawing a blank. So what do you have about anything else you want to say about Marge?
Yeah, like in one instance, she's worried that Lily wasn't talking to her because Lily was in her own head for a long time because she just went through this tragedy. And Marge is like reflecting that on herself, like, oh, why doesn't Lily like me anymore? So she is very worried about what people think about her. And I'm very suspicious of this Marge character based on a couple of things. Like we see a lot of these yellow flashes in her eyes. And even when she clocked that creepy smile to Rich when he walked by, very Pennywise-like look about her. And I'm almost wondering, based on another thing too, which I'll say in a second, I'm almost wondering if she's going to become like the human Pennywise scapegoat in a way, much like Alvin Marsh became that, much like Henry Bowers became that. Like she's going to become like an assistant to Pennywise. I'm getting like a lot of weird, creepy looks from her. I'm getting those yellow flashes in her eyes. And in the first episode, when the pickle juice comes all over Lily's dress, Marge makes the comment like, "You smell delicious. I could just eat you up." And I thought that was a really profound thing for someone to say in a show like this. So I took that under advisement.
What do you mean about the yellow flashes? Because I haven't noticed this at all.
Wow. Okay. Holy crap. I'm surprised. Like it happens like 6 times when she moves her head in a slight way and these yellow pin dots appear right at her eyes and her glasses. Very similar to Pennywise's yellow eyes you see creeping about like, outside of, Ronnie's mom's apparition, and you see those yellow eyes in Neobolt Street. Those same 2 yellow eyes seem to appear in Marge's glasses multiple times.
I thought it was just the glare.
It is a glare, but a TV show like this could definitely not have a glare on your glasses. Okay. It was there for a reason. And that smile with the yellow glare at the exact same time. I mean, I've seen a still shot of this image, and it's unmistakably a Pennywise look that she flashes for like a split second.
Well, I'll tell you what I observed with that Rich Marge scene.
Okay.
She was with the girls smiling, and then she seemed to be even smiling at him, and then she looked like really frightened or disgusted or something. Like her facial expression changed, and then you see the girl behind her flipping her off. And so I was like, well, did Marge realize, the girls will think
exactly
he likes me?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exact, because they're like, she liked him back for a split second. She was looking at him and she's like, oh, he likes me. I like him too. But then she's like, oh, wait, I'm with the patty cakes. I can't like a nerd like him.
She likes to be liked. That's all seems to be the most important thing to her.
But not by a nerd.
All right. We can move on to Dick Halloran.
And this is definitely him. I've heard people like, oh, don't say a spoiler that it's Dick Halloran. It's like everybody knows it's him. It's not a spoiler.
He's credited in IMDb as being Dick Halloran, so we know. Yes, I've heard people saying this too. Well, we think it is. It's like, no, it is. It's been confirmed. Okay, so Dick Halloran, he's out with his buddies, and they're getting drunk. So he's not perfect and noble. He's a younger version of himself. Yeah. He has the shining. Even though he has the shining, he's not above being a little bit of wild and crazy guy.
Hey.
I wondered if he might be the one who attacked Hamlin, actually, because they mention like, oh,
Good
we're
call.
all of us got questioned for attacking a fellow colored
Yeah.
airman, and he says, I didn't get questioned. Well, you're not going to
Nice
get
pull.
questioned if you're the guilty one.
Yep.
But it could be that, it could be that that's not it, and he wasn't questioned because he has special privileges. Everybody say it together. And I thought it was interesting how when the policeman's at the bar and he kind of knows, it's time to leave. Like he just gets the feeling before the guy even came over, he kind of notices and he's like, all right, it's time to go. They are meeting at the Falcon Tavern, which is the gay bar from the It novel where Adrian Mellon used to go. So this eventually becomes a gay bar. And I thought it was also, it was sort of Easter eggish that it's a bird. And even though that's not Dick Halloran's maybe fear, it's birds connected to, eventual trauma through Derry. So I was like,
I'll accept it.
it's a bird.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, but he really gets drunk because he has to throw up the next day.
Oh, that's right. He is a little queasy there.
What do you want to say about Dick Halloran?
I mean, he's this mythical figure from The Shining, and we're supposed to be really excited that it's him in this show. I'm not blown away yet. He seems like a total, just square to me. He's not really giving me a reason to latch on to him. Like his two buddies that he's with, they're really personable and they're laughing and they're making jokes and stuff. And I like those guys. And Dick just seems just kind of boring to me. I know that he has this, he's basically in charge of this whole what is this Operation Precept situation, because he's the one that's guiding everyone using the shine to guide the military to these spots that they're digging up and looking for this weapon. So, he's got a lot of panache. He's able to get through security gates easily. That's nice. A nice talent to have. But yeah, so far I'm not hugely impressed.
Yeah, they haven't given him time to shine yet. Ha ha ha. But
they have. Russo has been in this series for 10 seconds, and I loved him. And Dick here has been in lots of scenes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna speak a word in Dick Halloran's defense then.
Okay, please.
Since you're taking this position, in my mind, I feel like that tracks with his character though, because when you have a special ability, people might think of it as a power or something that gives you special privileges, and it does, but there's also a burden to it and a weight. And I don't think he's I don't think he's all Mr. Personable. Yes, we see him in The Shining. He interacts with Danny, but the reason he gets that level, think about Danny's personality. Is he the most personable little boy? No, he's not. He barely speaks to anybody because he's carrying a lot of weight on him from this ability, because it allows him to see, things that should be feared that other people don't see. So I think that it's maybe not all fun and games for Dick Halloran, having this ability. And I even wondered, was his throw up a normal throw up? Or was, it could be he got drunk, he threw up. But it could be that, the Shining and alcohol don't mix also. So he gets really sick, much more than other people.
That's a lot of meat there. Okay. Makes a lot of sense, because they could have definitely made him, one of these happy-go-lucky dudes like his compatriots here, and he's not like that. So I guess Chris Chalk is playing this correctly.
I think he's gonna have more to do a little bit later. There is a seed planted though, where his friends ask him, where are we supposed to go to relax around here? So paving the way for the black spot to be built. Absolutely. I do wonder where they went though, because he said, I know a place where we can get some good moonshine. So I wondered where they went to get.
I wonder if they went there and they just didn't show us.
Yeah.
Yet, but
could be.
That'd be the kind of place you would get moonshine, the black spot for sure.
All right. Well, that brings us back to our main three characters, the same three from last week. So Ronnie is where we're going to go next.
Yeah, she's played by Amanda Christine here. She kind of looks like she's a little bit older than everyone else, but she's supposed to be the same age as Lily. I kind of see her as a real father protector character, and especially in this episode, because her main goal in this episode, like the first thing that happens to her is she listens to a conversation between her dad and her grandmother, and they're talking about how her dad is getting the blame for what's happening at the theater. And all Ronnie wants to do is keep her family together. She, that's who she lives with, her dad and her grandma. She doesn't want half of her family to be gone in jail. So she spends most of this episode concerned about her father and trying to get Lily on board with her to get their story straight and to clear her father's name, which you already said that at the beginning of this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say about her this episode. She was on the screen a lot, but her main role in this episode seemed to be to just be a ball of rage. She's very angry at Lily. She's angry when her parents are arguing. So, yeah. I mean, the anger is rooted in things, obviously. She's feeling guilty. She's feeling scared. Her father's been blamed before, so she's just waiting for that next shoe to drop for him to be taken. She is kind to Will when she meets him and asks him about his book. Not everybody would do that. Mm-hmm. So she does engage with him. That continues to show how these kids that we're showing that are not a losers club yet, but they have the potential to be, because they all do stand out in a certain way, right? They're proud to be. Lily doesn't care about the patty cakes. She's proud to be herself. So Ronnie's just like, all right, there's this nerdy kid with this book. I want to understand why he is enjoying this. So yeah, she's guilty of cussing. She's not been framed. She's guilty. So
yeah, I think that was one of my favorite lines of this episode too. One of them you already said, this is not America, this is Derry. And then the other one is like, what are you in here for? For cussing. Oh, are you innocent too? No, I'm guilty as hell. That was, banger line said by Ronnie here. So we got to give it up for Veronica.
Yeah. I know you said that you didn't feel like the acting was the best for the kids, but I felt like in this episode, they both really, these two main girls really, they do well with stronger emotions when they're, yeah.
I said that last episode, not this episode. This episode is a banger. So mm-hmm. I didn't say anything bad about anybody yet. I don't think, did I? No.
No, you haven't said anything bad about anybody, no.
Except for Dick. I gave Dick a little bit of grief, but that's all right. Should I move on to Lily now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she's played here by Clara Stack. She is coerced into lying. Not really necessarily lying, but she's coerced into leading the police to arrest Hank. This is kind of like a tactic used by Clint Bowers, but we're talking about Lily. She's coerced into lying, and she wants to avoid Juniper Hill. That's the whole reason that she even went that route, was she didn't want to have to go back to Juniper Hill, which we know is awful. They do lobotomies there through your nose, and she does not want any of that. However, through the guidance of it, not necessarily Pennywise, but it and Derry the town, they make her look just as crazy during this grocery store scene. So she ends up in Juniper Hill, which is exactly where she didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, her mom is one of these Derry adult archetypes who is kind of like I don't want to say her mom is a zombie, but she doesn't have a whole lot of feeling. She doesn't express a whole lot of feeling for her daughter. She coldly drops her off at Juniper Hill without even saying goodbye. Lily's, I wouldn't say she's friendless, but she is more concerned with, what is going on than she is with being friendly with her friends right now, because, Marge was inviting her to have lunch with her and trying to talk to her, and Lily has no interest in any of that. What else can we say about Lily? I think I just described her this whole episode, didn't I?
Yeah. I don't know. I think she's her acting game stepped up. She was just seemed more on point with her anxiety and frustration and her sadness about what's happened. I thought she did a very believable job.
I think it's because this is just my own observation, but I think it's because the kids were talking less. I think they were talking a lot more, doing a lot of exposition dumps in the first episode. And I think that's what kind of made the dialogue a little clunky. I think they're saying less and they're like doing more with their actions and their faces in this episode. And like I said, Lily's a great scream queen. When she's scared, she's scared. So great choice for casting her.
Okay. Well, we've done a fantastic job talking about these two without talking about the horror scenes, which we're going to have in a little bit.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to our last character, which would be Leroy. And we said what his actor's name was, Jovan Adepo. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but
it sounds right.
What a couple things I wanted to point out about his arc that I thought, this one's just fun. Colonel Fuller had 2 phones on his desk. One was red and one was green. Did you notice that, Steve?
No, I didn't. Christmas time phones? What's that all about?
Yeah, when he goes in to confront him about the fact that Airman Masters couldn't possibly have been the one because of his skill level with these firearms was not up to par. I just noticed he had 2 phones. I was like, that's perfect. I mean, I guess this is the red phone is the bat phone. It's for emergencies only, and the green phone is for everybody else.
The red ones are called JFK. It's got to be.
But I just thought this was it's a fantastic episode for him. He's being revealed to be sort of a mastermind.
Literally.
The way he figures out that this airman was framed for the attack. He really paid attention he has knowledge of what this weapon was and knows this man is not going to be able to load this weapon, how easily it was. So we also find out that he had something happen during the Korean War, and now his amygdala is damaged. So he is a man without fear.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge plot point right there. Because what does Derry and it feed on is fear.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy is like a secret weapon.
Yeah. The only other plot I've ever seen like this is there's a M. Night Shyamalan movie that like Will Smith was in. I can't remember the name of it now, but he's in a space colony and the enemy is an alien that feeds on fear. And the only one that's ever been able to fight this alien is Will Smith, who that's not his character's name. And then his son ends up having to go in his stead, and his dad has to talk him through how to not feel fear. It's a terrible movie. It's not a very well-made movie.
Well, thanks for bringing it up then.
But it was a cool plot, a cool plot that's being used here.
Yeah, I think we're getting like our main story plot point here with Leroy, because when you find out this huge piece of information that is Amlagata is missing and that, stems him from fear, this whole Operation Precept thing that they're involving Leroy now in, which apparently Dick Halloran is part of. Mm-hmm. They're trying to stop the Cold War before it even happens. And they want to harness the town of Derry to use as a weapon to stop the war. And Leroy is the key to that because he doesn't have fear. So General Shaw says something about pinpointing the beacons, whatever that means. So this sounds like a kind of a goofy plot, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun, and it like ties in with our story. It ties in with the Native Americans digging up their ground, ties in with The Shining. I kind of like where all this is going. It sounds goofy and fun. I like this.
Mm-hmm. So there was talk about the beacons, that the powerful weapon that they are uncovering, which we're thinking more than likely is it himself somehow. Mm-hmm. They're trying to harness that.
Good luck.
So they mentioned that it's surrounded by beacons, and if you can collect them all,
oh my God.
But what did you think the beacons were? Like, did you have any theories about?
I mean, the first thing I thought of were the dead lights, like beacons, lights, dead lights, because that's like the weapon that it uses, is like gets people into its dead lights.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should break down exactly what that is, because it could have something to do with the beacons. Like the dead lights is when you do like a mind meld with Derry, Pennywise, whatever you want to call it. And then the thing that happens is kind of like it's best expressed in the movie The Matrix. There's a scene in The Matrix where Joey Pantaleone is eating a steak, and he's describing, he's like, I can taste this steak. I can feel it in my mouth. It satiates my hunger. It's 100% real, even though I know it's not real. Everything about this feels real. And that's exactly what Derry and Pennywise can do to its victims, kind of like matrix them. So I'm wondering if the beacons are some sort of device that you can harness those dead lights in some sort of way. That's what I was thinking. Do you have a theory about the beacons?
So the first thing I thought of was that the beacons were the kids.
Okay.
Because if you're going to go digging around, because he's looking for these beacons. So what could you dig up? One thing would be bodies. And then I thought maybe the beacons were objects that had been used in these events, these gruesome events, like an Easter basket.
Or like the bike.
The car is going to be the car was a beacon maybe. And so there's
pacifier,
these other things that have been buried that Pennywise, it has kind of collected as tokens, or, kind of like a serial killer collects an ear from each victim or something. So those were the two main things I thought of.
I hope that's not right, because if that's the case, then one of those beacons might just be Will Hanlon. And we don't want that to be the case.
No, we don't. I mean, it would be terrible. It'd be a terrible theory if it was true.
I like it, though. I mean, what else could it be? I don't know.
Going back to, like, let's say, Harry Potter, they had to claim the pieces of the
Horcrux.
Yeah. So they looked for all these places where Voldemort had left pieces of himself behind. So that's kind of what I was equating it to.
One of them was Harry's scar. That's right. Yeah. That was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler for Harry Potter.
Oh boy. Okay, so that's Leroy. I'm not sure if we have everything else to say about him. I mean, Leroy's a cool character. I was like, he kind of stepped up his game. I do think obviously him and Dick Halloran are going to be working closely. They've had 2 episodes now where the two are in the same space and don't speak a word to each other, and I could have been mistaken, but I feel like Dick Halloran winked.
He did. He absolutely winked at him. He was a winky man.
He's like, I attacked you in your room last night.
I am 100% on board with that theory that was Dick himself that like clocked him with the pipe. I mean, I love your theory, and I'm willing to bet on it that you're right.
Well, I don't have anything to bet, Steve. I'm broke, so
let's bet this podcast feed. The winner takes all.
Oh man, I can't risk it. It's too important. Too important. All right, so let's break down our 2 scare scenes. So we have the bedroom turned birth canal and grocery store corn maze turned pickle dad.
Yeah.
What did you think about these two scenes, Steve?
Man, like I said before, the very original concepts that I did not see either one of these situations coming. I mean, you kind of did, like when Ronnie's in bed and like she's messing with the sheets, you're like, something's happening here. You hear the heartbeat. And the grocery store scene was creepy too. But these are such innocuous places, your bedroom, the grocery store. Like these are safe places where nothing bad happens. And this is like where the big scares happen. And I guess Pennywise is really seasoning the kids, as he says, like that's the reason he scares them so bad. Well, in Lily's case, I think he's just scaring her to make her look crazy to send her to Juniper Hill to get her out of the way. Because it doesn't seem like he's actually trying to kill her. But I mean, I pretty much love everything about these scenes with the exception of the monsters' mouths. If I want to get nitpicky, that's where the CGI kind of lost me a little bit in both cases. The Pickle Man mouth and the mom mouth when she was trying to like consume the daughter, Ronnie. They just, I don't know, they just didn't look right. Looked like 2005 animation to me. And I think that could have been improved. That was the only thing I could even possibly think of to like criticize about these scenes is just a little bit of CGI. Other than that, these practical effects just through the roof. Lindsay, I'm handing it back to you.
Okay.
Rank them.
Yeah, rank them. We could. I mean, I want to start by saying how they're kind of similar.
Similar. Okay.
Yeah, because they're both, well, one thing, they're both very long. They're long, drawn out sequences. And yes, I mean, a bedroom should be safe, but I do feel like a bedroom has been used in a lot in horror movies. So that's not too off the wall, but it is supposed to be safe. You're right. But they're both filmed similarly in that girls end up on the ground facing their deceased parent. One's a mother, one's a father.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
pulled in either with tentacles or an umbilical cord.
Right.
So it's kind of, there's just a high level of guilt about parents.
Both of them, yeah.
And yeah, just both of these scenes seem so long. With Ronnie, her nightmare begins with grandma and dad arguing, just like you said. That scene reminded me so much of Psycho when Norman Bates and his mother are arguing and you hear the mom kind of nitpicking at the son and he's like, "Mother, come on." You know, that was the dynamic. It's outside of the room and obviously, you know, Hank is not talking to a dead person. There's a living being out there, but the way that that's muffled through the door is just nightmare fuel. Hearing your parents or, you know, grandma and dad arguing. Then there's like a suffocation. Then there's like a drowning, ejected slime. And, you know, you're ejected with all this slime. Then there's mom blaming her. The umbilical cord, the teeth, the deadlight. I mean, it just kept going, one nightmare after another. It was almost, I thought, when is this going to end? Somebody open the door, please. So that, obviously, it was pretty gross and horrific. But for me personally, I did kind of feel Lily's nightmare a little deeper. Maybe it's because it matches my own domestic fears that take place, that sometimes when I'm in a grocery store, it does feel like I am lost. Because I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Steve, but a lot of times the grocery store rearranges itself, and not itself, but the group decides we're going to move things around. Like forever, they had the sponges in next to the kitchen products where you buy bowls and stuff. And like last year, they moved the kitchen sponges in with the cleaning products, which makes a lot of sense. But I was used to the old way. And so you'll go through the grocery store and then you'll have to go back through the aisle and you're just like, where is the baking powder? Or where is the cream cheese? There's like cream cheese in one area and yogurt in another area and cottage cheese in another area. And I can't keep track of all of these cheeses.
You must shop at Kroger like I do. I'm a weekly shopper as well, and I shop at Kroger, and they're always moving things around like that and trying to make it more efficient. And it can be like a maze. You're right.
Mm-hmm. And then we had like this grocery store loop. They started making the same announcements over and over. That added to it. But I think just the whole like Pickles and then the tentacles and the weird like tongue and kiss for daddy. And I'm like, oh gosh, please don't tell me that Lily underwent any kind of sexual abuse, because
it seemed like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little gross.
I think of this as like, to make myself feel a little bit funnier about it, I thought the pickle dad reminded me of Jabba the Hutt a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah. I thought it was pretty neat how like almost everything in the store was canned. Like they did have some cereal boxes, they did have some bread, but almost everything was either in a can or a jar. And that's where, her father worked at, was at the cannery.
Right.
So I think that wasn't just a set design, like this is how things were in 1962. I think it was trying to from the very get-go, everything was weird about this store and like the announcements, the people around her. But I think that was definitely a clue there. Yeah. I wanted to mention something about bananas, if I may, because I was looking at the prices of everything.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment about the prices, but you start.
Right. So everything was pretty inexpensive. Like I saw turkey was 39 cents a pound, and now you get it for a few bucks a pound. But then bananas were 49 cents a pound. So bananas are more expensive than your meat products back in 1962. But now bananas are the exact same price. They're still 49 cents a pound, like in 2025. I believe that's because back then, the banana industry hadn't gotten kicking yet. And it was much more expensive to ship the bananas, and it was more of an exotic product. So I think that's why it was more expensive than things back then. And now the price just never changed, just kind of leveled out.
I don't know. I wonder if they were just kind of trolling us because Jell-O was 35 cents, and that seemed pretty expensive for Jell-O back in the 1960s.
It is,
I think
but
it
it's a
used
processed
to be
item.
Okay. Well, I feel like I have memories of Jell-O being pretty cheap, and
in the 80s,
in the 80s,
yes.
And so in the 60s, I would think, yeah.
And the 60s, it was more of an experimental product. It involved a lot of scientific things to make it have preservatives in it. So it was more expensive to produce back then. Now they've streamlined all that stuff. So items like that are cheaper now than they used to be. But back then that was an exotic thing, having Jell-O, where buying meat was pretty cheap, or, buying Jell-O or bananas was more expensive than buying your staples like bread and meat.
I'm not sure I believe you, but I'll let it go.
I'm a podcaster. You got to believe me.
Because did you see the big bowl of Jell-O that Lily had from the cafeteria? I mean,
I didn't clock it. No.
When she goes to the cafeteria to get her lunch, she has a giant bowl of Jell-O. So I don't think it's that expensive if the schools are giving her a huge portion.
You might be right, but I also thought that was a big bowl. I thought it was just a big bowl of cherries with some whipped cream on top. I didn't clock that it was Jell-O, so that makes more sense to me now than a big bowl of cherries.
No, it's Jell-O. See, my keen insights. I missed the yellow spots, but I saw the Jell-O.
I'm seeing the yellow, you're seeing the red.
Okay, well, we already talked about where the episode left off and what we think they might explore next. So we're going to move into our MVP of the episode. Who did you pick?
Me, I picked Mr. Will Hanlon. Now, I know he didn't do a whole lot this episode. It wasn't like he went out there and saved the day. Because if I was going to pick it for the person that saved the day, I would probably pick Leroy. But in this case, I'm going to pick Will because I liked him the best in this episode. I enjoyed all of his scenes. He didn't have anything scary happen to him. I like that. He just seems like the kind of guy I would have hung out with when I was a kid. So I'm giving my MVP on Will based on the likability factor alone. Who's your MVP then, Lindsay? If you laugh at me giving it to Will, let's see you give a better one.
I wasn't laughing because you gave it to Will. I don't remember why I laughed. I like to laugh. My MVP is Major Hanlon. Maybe that's why I laughed, because you mentioned Major Hanlon.
Yeah.
I like a good Sherlock Holmes kind of character. I appreciated how this guy was like, all right, you're going to try to sell me on the fact that this person attacked me, and he goes in, and even though the guy's a jerk, he doesn't want him to be framed for a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I thought that said a lot about his character. Because he was, you could see he was kind of acting in a way that he wouldn't normally like. He was trying to get a rise out of that guy so that he would attack him, so he could see him try to put this gun together.
That was a risky maneuver, Leroy.
Yeah, it was risky, and that's why I liked it, and so, but it paid off. He got the answers he wanted.
It paid off. He got MVP of one of my stories.
That's right. Not everybody ever wins that. So I wanted to leave a little time to talk about memorable moments. Anything we haven't discussed yet that you wanted to bring up as being really well done?
The very first scene of this episode is when they give us a rehashing of the theater scene, except for this time around, we're getting it from Lily's direct point of view. We're seeing everything out of her eyes. So it's the exact same scene that we saw last episode, except just angled differently. And I thought that was a winner right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my outstanding scenes was the lunch debacle between the lunch showdown between Lily and Ronnie. So it was a nice bit of character development, but I thought that was, in a way, its own type of horror because you had the patty cakes doing that little clappy, annoying thing at the same time as those girls having a conversation and the escalation of that. And Marge kind of she was almost a reluctant participant of that. She was upset about the sweater thing, and they're like, "Come on, Marge," and then she just kind of goes with it because she's a convertible. She can go wherever you take her. But that was a pretty intense scene.
I have that one as my number one outstanding moment was that moment right there. Mm-hmm. This Lily point of view in the theater was my third most outstanding moment.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that patty cake cheer, that whole intensity, I loved that. That was my favorite moment of the episode, hands down, was what you just said. But my second favorite, because I said my third, you said my first. My second favorite would be the transition scene from Dick Halloran barfing to the mashed potatoes getting poured onto the lunch tray. That was outstanding the way they timed that and the way that played out. I loved it.
Steve, that's my least favorite moment of this episode. That was my one.
Almost on point, but just a little bit off. All right.
I'm like, that just is not necessary. The only other thing I had two other scenes, but we've already talked about them. So I'll just mention that the teacher that is talking about the 4 basic food groups.
Yes. I wrote her down too.
She was the same teacher that was at the Music Man. So I thought, hey, they've given her something to do in each episode.
I wrote her down as my least favorite moment of this episode.
That's your least favorite.
That teacher. Period. That teacher sucked.
Yes. Oh my. She's terrible and mean. But she does like her musicals, so I mean she has good taste in movies at least.
I mean, she is from Derry. She's a Derry teacher, so she's just par for the course, basically.
All right, we're going to rate our episode now from 1 to 5 turtles.
Who's first?
I'll let you go first.
I'm rubbing my hands together in anticipation because the first episode 1, I only gave it 2 out of 5 turtles. Pretty poor rating, I would say, because it didn't quite catch me. This one, it has a 100% increase because I'm giving this one 4 out of 5 turtles. I almost wanted to give it 4.5 turtles, but I didn't want to cut any turtles in half. So just 4 out of 5 turtles.
Oh boy. Well, I'm also giving the episode 4 out of 5 turtles.
Yay.
Last week we did a 3. This was a 4. I liked it better. I still want to leave room for an episode that blows my mind away.
Same.
So I'm gonna give this one a 4. So that makes our average 4.
Yay, that's pretty damn good. Congrats, Muschettis.
Well, that's all I have for this episode, except for sign-offs and plugs. Did you have any last-minute topics you want to get in there?
Yeah, we didn't talk about Paul Bunyan at all, and I just wanted to make a brief mention. Why does everybody hate this Paul Bunyan statue so much? They don't really go into it. Like, we hear Miss Kavanaugh complain about it, and Kirsch is all like, he doesn't really care. But like the townsfolk are protesting about it. Like some jerks are throwing eggs at the sign. Why do they hate Paul Bunyan so much, Lindsay? Do you know?
I don't know, unless it's just one of those things that's supposed to be how in our contemporary day people like to protest things. Like they get upset about things that maybe aren't that big of a deal. Like I mean, you would think maybe these days people might be offended. I don't know much about Paul Bunyan, honestly. Like, I don't know his story to be able to say what he did right or wrong. But I would think like these days he might be more likely to be protested than back in the 60s and everybody liked those stereotypes.
See, that's what I was thinking too. Like Paul Bunyan is like this American figure, but he's kind of credited for like making this American landscape. And the Native Americans definitely do not like that aspect of Paul Bunyan taking over their history. So I could see if the Native American community was rallying against Paul Bunyan, but it's like Derry itself is the ones who are getting all worked up about it. The only thing I could think of is like people are upset about statues to this day. Mm-hmm. I mean, you came and visited me in Richmond, Virginia, and I was showing you where all the statues used to be, and they took all those statues down, and they were arguing about statues back in 1962 as well, except in that case, it was Paul Bunyan. Maybe they don't like plastic, but that's the last thing I wanted to bring up that we didn't talk about was just everybody's hate for it. And I really couldn't figure out why. I wanted to hear what you had to say. And
yeah, I didn't have much to say about it, but I did have another thought, which is that maybe because of the protest happening at the Paul Bunyan statue, violence occurs. And that becomes something else that Pennywise can use.
Yeah.
And we know that's where he attacks Richie in the movies, like Paul Bunyan attacks him. So yeah, it's a place of significance to it somehow.
Yeah, a beacon just went off in my head. I think you're onto something there. Like these people are really hate it, so the hate drives the town. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you got another bingo there. So I'm with the right person.
All right. So do you have any plugs or promotions you want to leave people off with?
I would always encourage people to check out James McCullum, the Marshland Monster. He runs a Discord as well. I think some of our listeners here are on on the Bald Move Discord where I'm at. I always encourage you to check out James and his Patreon and his Discord over at MLM Pod. And check out some of my music along with James, along with Lindsay. We're a musical bunch, and we have a bunch of stuff on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. And for me, you can find it under my band name, Introvoid. And some of those songs feature this here Lindsey Dunn, and some of those songs feature James McCullum. They all feature me. So yeah, check out our music at Introvoid.
That's a good plug, Steve, there.
Yay, I'm a plugger. What you plugging away at, Lindsay?
I didn't really plan anything to plug. I guess I would just encourage people to keep following the show. I mean, there is, like I said, I'll plug the official Welcome to Derry podcast where you can listen to the two co-hosts there. They get to interview the Muschietis and many of the cast and the production designers. So check out that as a supplement to all the goodies you're getting with us, because you don't need too much more.
Yeah, that's all you need. The official one and the unofficial one. And you're good to go.
Well, that's all for this episode today. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we'll continue to listen for our recap next week, where we will dive into episode 3.
Heck yes.
All right.
Find those water and shade and shoes, y'all.
Threw that in there, Steve. Water, shade, shoes, and a clown nose.
Beep, beep.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.